Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the future of content creation with some mind-blowing AI-powered tools like video editing, image generation, and even voice cloning. Whether you are a content creator, filmmaker, or marketer, these AI tools can take your creativity to the next level. Stay till the end because I will show you how you can use them to create professional content effortlessly. Let's get started. First on the list is Runway ML. This tool feels like something straight out of the future. It's not just a regular video editor, it's a full creative companion. When you open it up, you immediately notice how clean and modern it looks. What really makes Runway stand out is how it puts the power of machine learning directly into your hands. You can describe what you want using plain language and the tools start building it. Whether you are trying to edit footage, apply cinematic effect, or even generate brand new videos using text prompts, Runway makes it feel effortless. It's like having a professional video production team but powered by AI right at your fingertips. And the best part, you don't need to be a tech wizard to use it. Moving on to Pictory AI. This one is a true lifesaver for content creators who want to turn long form content into something scannable and social media ready. You can take a blog post, a long webinar, or even a Zoom recording. Within a few minutes, Pictory transforms it into polished short form video content. It's almost magical how it identifies the most important moments and arranges them into clips that are ready to go. Everything happens in the cloud, so you don't need to download any heavy software, and it's designed to be clean and first click. It's like giving your old content a new life in video form without having to spend hours in editing software. Then we have Wisecut, which is a bit of hidden gem in the AI editing world. It focuses on the really tedious part of editing, the things that usually take the longest, and just handle them for you. Imagine recording a long video and not having a manual trim out all the awkward silences. Wisecut does that instantly. It listens to your voice, understands where the pauses are, and cleans everything up in a way that sounds completely natural. It's a great tool if you are someone who wants to talk straight to the camera, hit record, and let the software do the cleanup afterward. It's fast, smart, and incredibly useful for creators who work solo. Now let's talk about Descript. This tool changes the way we think about video editing entirely. Instead of staring at timeline with 100 different clips, you are actually editing your video by editing text just like you are working on a Google Doc. You delete a sentence from the transcript and it deletes it from the video. You want to add a word, you just type it, and you have trained your voice with Descript. It actually speaks it in your voice. It's like sci-fi but real. Descript is especially great for podcasters, educators, and anyone creating videos that are focused on dialogue. It makes editing feel conversational and even fun. Next up is Kapwing AI Studio. Kapwing has already made a name for itself as a fast browser-based editor, but their AI Studio takes things to a whole new level. You can input a script or idea and have the AI build an entire video from scratch. It adds footage, subtitles, music, and even format it for whatever platform you are targeting, whether it your YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, etc. It's a great tool for teams or individual working on social content because everything is shareable and cloud based. It's like a content machine that leaves your browser and never sleeps. And finally we have Misto by Vimeo. This one is built for businesses who need professional looking videos but might not have the time or skill to make them manually. You upload your clips, pick a goal like promoting a product or telling a brand story, and Misto takes it from there. It uses artificial intelligence to understand the flow, select the best moment from your footage, and assemble everything into a video that actually feels like it was made by human editor. It's clean, branded, and polished, and it's perfect for marketing teams or small businesses that want result without needing a full production crew. Let's talk about DALL-E, a tool that feels more like magic than software. Imagine typing out a phrase like a cat wearing a spacesuit riding a skateboard on Mars, and within a second seeing a completely original hyper details image of exactly that. That's what DALL-E does. It turns your imagination into visuals. It does not matter if you are a designer, a writer, or just someone who wants cool custom images for your project. DALL-E does not ask for any artistic skill. Just what's even more impressive is how creative and specific it can get. Now shifting gears to Synthesia. This one is a game changer for video creation, especially if you are a camera shy or simply short on time. Instead of setting up lights, recording gear, and worrying about how you look on camera, Synthesia gives you a virtual presenter. You write a script, choose an AI avatar, and the tool generates a video that looks and sounds like a real human being delivering your content. What makes it even more powerful is how fast it works. You could write something in the morning and have a full video ready before your coffee gets cold. It's perfect for training content, explainer videos, or even simple social posts when you need a face but don't want to use your own. Speaking of virtual presenter, let's dive into Deep Brain AI. This tool feels like something from a sci-fi movie. It uses advanced deep learning to create digital humans, AI avatars that move, blink, and speak just like we do. The experience is so smooth, it's hard to believe that you are not watching a real person. What's cool about Deep Brain is how customizable everything is. You write a script, pick the voice and tone, the look of the avatar, and it delivers this beautifully rendered video that is feel like it came out of the studio. You don't need a production team, a green screen, or even a camera. It's ideal for corporate presentations, customer services messages, and even new style updates. And finally, there is a R1 AI, a fascinating tool that blends realism with automation in a way that feels effortless. The moment you use it, it feels like you are entering a new era of a content creation. It starts with choosing a character. There are AI generated people that look incredibly like lifelike. You give them a script and within few minutes you have got a full video where this character is speaking directly to your audience. Let's start with ElevenLabs, a tool that honestly feels like you are listening to the future. You type a few lines of text and within seconds a voice speaks them back to you so naturally. You did not think it was a real person talking. It's not robotic or flat like the old school text-to-speech stuff we grew up with. This sounds emotional, expressive and human, and what's wild how it does not just read the words, it feels like it understands them. Now the last one, LALAL.AI. This one quite genius. You drop in a song or video and it gently pulls, and there you have it. These AI tools are changing the way we create content, making it easier, faster and more professional than ever before. Vid.io feels like a friend who knows exactly what you are trying to say. Before you even say it, it simplifies the editing process so beautifully that even beginners feel confident. You drag in your footage, make a few tweaks, and it suddenly looks polished. There is no step learning curve here, just smooth interaction and design. The way subtitles appears like magic or how effects glide into the story. It feels seamless. Vid is made for creators who just want to create without diving into a maze of meanness. It turns editing into something that feels fun, not forced. Lumen 5 turns writing into moving images, like watching your thoughts come alive on screen. It's not just a video tool, it's a storyteller best friend. You enter a paragraph or a headline and Lumen 5 paints it with motion, color and rhythm. It comes structured. You don't need to worry about timelines or transitions. It builds the pace for you. It's perfect for those who love writing but feel unsure about editing. The results are clean, professional and ready to be shared. With Lumen 5, content creation becomes about expressing an idea, not fighting with software to make it happen. HeyGen is like having a digital spokesperson who never sleeps. You write a script and in moments, if lifelike AI avatar presents it as if it were filmed in a studio. It's ideal for those who prefer to stay behind the scenes but still want a human presence in their content. Whether it's for explainer videos, internal presentations or social media, HeyGen makes it feel personal and polished. Murf AI. Murf AI gives your word the power to move people. It's like having a professional voice actor on call 24/7. You write the script, choose the tone, and it speaks with clarity, depth, and emotion. Whether you are crafting a podcast intro, a video narration, or e-learning content, Murf adapts like a pro. It does not sound robotic, it sounds real, even familiar, and the best part, you don't need a mic, a quiet room, or audio skills. Designs.ai is like a design team inside your browser. Logos, graphics, videos, just type in your idea and it starts shaping a visual identity that fits. It feels like AI with a creative eye, taking the essence of what you want to dressing it up in a minute. It's not about tweaking pixels, it's about telling your story with style. Whether you are building a brand, a product or a pitch deck, it gives you a head start with a smart suggestion and beautiful outputs. Invideo brings energy to your ideas, whether it's a YouTube video, Instagram story or business promo. It helps you pitch together scenes that feel dynamic and alive. The interface is simple, but the impact is strong. You pick a style, upload your content, and within minutes it becomes a watchable, shareable story. It's made for creators who think visually, who want control without complications. Synthesis is for creators who want presence without performance. You don't need to be on camera and you don't need a studio. You just to choose a digital presenter, feed them your words, and you are done. The result looks clean and corporate or casual and relatable. Whatever you need, Synthesis does not feel like you are cheating the system. It feels like the future. It's fast, adorable, and early lifelike. Animoto is like a photo album that dances. You upload your clips and a soundtrack and suddenly your memories or your marketing are in motion. It's quick, clean and powerful. You don't get overwhelmed with options, just enough to make every video feels yours. Great for event recaps, product showcases and heartwarming tributes. Animoto is where simplicity meets sentiment. Canva Music Studio is like a creative genie with a sense of style. You imagine a post, a poster or a promo, Music Studio that help you build in a minutes. It blends visuals and writing tools so well. You forget you are even designing. One-click fixes, AI generated content, layout suggestions. It's like it's reading your mind. Whether you are making reels, slides or social ads, it keeps everything smooth and stunning. You don't need to be designer. You just need to know what you want to say. Canva Music Studio does the rest with the charm, speed and splash of brilliance. So there you have it. Over a dozen AI tools is one reshaping what it means to be content creator today. Whether you are editing your first blog, building a brand, or just curious about where technology is going, there is something here for you. And the best part, you don't have to be an expert. You just need a story to tell, and AI will help you to tell better, faster and louder. If this inspired you, hit that like button, drop your favorite tools in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe because the future of content is just getting started.